Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Kata and I'm talking today about the full moon that we have in Cancer and the energy that this full moon is bringing us today. And while I was actually sitting in meditation, it was absolutely crazy the kind of stuff that was coming in for me. And I think this is all happening, and actually I know this is all happening because this is the first full moon of 2023, and being the first full moon of this year, and the fact that we have a full moon right at the beginning of this year is very, very supportive of really shedding and letting go of things of our past, things from last year, and just in general the accumulation of emotional turmoil that we have had, up until this point in our lives. And what I really recognized within myself and what came up for me during meditation was just all kinds of childhood things. And I started to really see it was like parts of my childhood that I'd forgotten about, that I buried within myself, that I never really acknowledged as something that was difficult that I went through or experienced during that time. Those were all the things that were coming up for me in meditation, and I was getting full, it was like a movie playing out in my head of all of this difficulty that I experienced and how I felt absolutely unvalidated by my parents, mostly my father, and absolutely how I felt unheard and unseen. There's throat chakra as I say that. So it was very difficult growing up because my father was has a very strong personality, and he was like that with us when we were young. So our opinions didn't matter, and that was something that was also coming up in a vision, was just remembering and seeing how broken actually my inner child has been as a result of my upbringing. And all of this stuff that I share with you guys, I don't say this to place blame on my father or on my parents, in general. I'm not placing blame. I'm simply acknowledging how far I've come and where I am now and what causes certain restrictions within me. So one thing that I will honestly mention is, for example, the fact that I'm not consistent with YouTube. And the reason why I'm not consistent with this channel is because I constantly have fears of judgment that arise within me. I constantly have fears that I'm going to say the wrong thing. I constantly have fears that that what I'm doing is not good enough. There was a huge theme of not good enough in my life as a child, and this full moon is really, it brought all of this, I think, to the surface today for me, because it wants me to be aware of, these are your limitations, Kata. These are the things within you that are unhealed, and it is your inner child who is extremely unhealed and is very sad and broken from all of those times that you felt unvalidated, for all of the times that you were told that, your opinion didn't matter, or what you said was wrong, or that your opinion was wrong. And in order for me to really be successful with YouTube, and in order for me to really grow this channel and be able to continue moving forward with it, I know that those are the pieces within me that need to heal and that need to be shed in order for me to really be able to step fully into this role. Because as much as I feel that this is my calling, which I know it is my calling, I know I am meant to have this channel, and I know I'm meant to share my wisdom and things that I've learned along my journey. While I know that and I'm aware of that, it still doesn't help that I have all of this underlying buried guck, within me, emotional damage, I suppose. And really this is inner child damage or inner child healing that is necessary, because there's so many things that I've healed when it comes to my heart, and there are so many people that I have forgiven, but those were more like relationship things. They weren't specifically related to money. And this one here coming up for me today is very specifically related to money. So the reason why I have difficulty committing fully into committing fully to the path that I know is meant for me is because of this underlying um, inner child work that needs to be done and inner child healing that needs to happen. And until that happens, I feel like I'm not going to be able to fully open the sort of like the floodgates to be able to receive within myself, because our receiving and how much we allow into our lives really depends upon how worthy we feel. And it is my worthiness that was the most prominent. It's what really, really came to the forefront today in my meditation. And it was crazy. Like it just really triggered and lifted all of these things within me. And I started crying, and I could feel how much my inner child has been hurting. And I could also feel, and I also had awareness of how much I have suppressed that inner child within me, and how much I haven't allowed her to come forth, how much I haven't um, really nurtured her. And even her brokenness has been something that I have seen as, this is wrong within me, rather than acknowledging that there's nothing wrong with that inner child being broken, because I wasn't the one who broke it. It was broken through my upbringing, through the unconscious habits, sayings, and actions of my parents, right? And again, it's not to place blame. It's simply acknowledging that they were highly unconscious at the time when I was a child and when we were growing up. And of course, they're much better now with certain things, but there's still a long way to go for them. But that unconsciousness is really what transferred onto us as children, me and my siblings. And that unconsciousness is what really broke our spirits, our child spirits, in a certain way. And if this is you, if this is something that you have experienced, if you had a childhood where you were not acknowledged, where you were not validated, where your opinions didn't matter, or what you desired, or what you want, or what you felt didn't matter, then know that today and right now, and right at the beginning of this year and this month, actually, is an exceptional time to do some of that inner child work, to go within yourself, to acknowledge those parts of you that are broken, to acknowledge those parts of you that are sad, that are angry, or that are hurting, and to really figure out why. Like dig deep within yourself. Allow yourself to meditate today. Allow clarity to come through your meditation and to show you, to highlight to you all of the things that, really need healing at this time. Um, and it's really like I'm getting kind of emotional as I'm saying that, because I feel this in the collective, that this is something that's hugely, hugely needed. And this is very, very important for the collective right now, for all of us, that this means all of us to look at the different things from our childhood that really didn't go as we would have liked. Or, for example, like another thing that came up and that I realized was, you know, the reason why I have issues around worthiness when it comes to money and finances was because, for example, I would constantly hear, we can't afford that. We can't afford that. Every time I would ask for something from my parents, then it was always an answer of, we can't afford that. So it's like, and every time they said that, they would plant a seed within my subconscious mind, that I wasn't worthy of having those things, that it's like I wasn't good enough to actually invest in or to spend money on. Because when it came to other things, and again, as a child, I observed my parents, and when it came to other things, they certainly had, no problem spending on other things. And my father was the person who primarily controlled the finances in the home. My mom didn't have much of a say in that. So, he would dominate that, and he, as a role model to us as children, as a role model, he would show us and demonstrate to us, that we were basically not worthy of having those things that were important or special for us. And one of those things, for example, was like extracurricular activities. I really distinctly remember, and it came up in a vision during my meditation this morning, remembering how when I think I was maybe like grade 5 or 6 or something like that, and looking at my other classmates, like the popular kids in school, and looking at how they would brag about their extracurricular activities. Like one went to gymnastics and the other one would go to dance class, and the other one played some kind of an instrument. And I remember as a child feeling like, I want those things. And I loved dancing. My parents knew how much, like ever since I was a toddler, I absolutely loved dancing, and I loved music, and I still love music very, very passionately. I can't go a single day without listening to music. So, and at the time as a child, I wanted to participate in those activities. I wanted to try them. I wanted to explore and experience those things. And every time I would mention it or bring it up to my father, he would tell me that it wasn't something that we could afford. And I knew in my heart that it wasn't true. It was just, he was a very frugal man and he didn't want to spend on those things. And it's crazy. Like, it's so crazy right now to me that this stuff is coming up. But I always say, healing is like, we're all like an onion, and healing is like just peeling back those layers of the onion. And as I've, like I said, shed many of my other relationship issues, and I've healed my heart from a lot of those relationship issues or things that didn't work out. When it comes to my childhood, though, there are still things that are left unhealed. There are still things that I have not processed, not looked at, and really buried very, very deeply within myself. And today was the day that it really surfaced, because again, we are in a time now, and 2023, I feel like, is going to be such a spectacular year. But it can kind of go both ways. Like, it can be a very spectacular year, or it can be a very difficult year. It really, really depends on how much healing work we have done in previous years, and especially in 2022. Did you address those things within yourself that are unhealed? Did you address those feelings of unworthiness when it perhaps came to relationships, or when it came to money, or when it came to having nice things? I've come to understand, and I'm reading a really awesome book right now, and I've come to understand that, being wealthy is a birthright. And in order for us to truly succeed in life and to truly be able to live our lives to the absolute fullest potential, we really need to be wealthy, like financially wealthy. Because having that financial wealth allows you the freedom to be able to do those things, because everything costs money. So the more money you have, the more you're able to try different things, the more you're able to experience a vast number of activities and all kinds of and people and services and all kinds of different things, that you can explore. You can travel. Travel helps expand your mind, and it helps to expand your experiences, right? So it's like there's so many things that we need money for in order for our souls, our bodies, and our minds to actually grow in this world, in this 3D physical world. And I've come to recognize that the lack mentality that my parents both shared and taught us essentially through their own through their own lack of awareness, has really seeped into our subconscious minds. And I see it in my siblings as well, of how we all carry that seed of lack mentality because of our upbringing. And so this year, I feel, to become really truly successful, the first thing that has to be done is to pluck those seeds, to pull those dark black seeds out of there of lack, and to really train our mind, body, and spirit to believe and to understand that we are worthy of financial abundance, that we are worthy of unconditional love, that we are worthy of everything good that we desire to experience. It's just, we don't experience those things because right now we're vibrating in a lack mentality, and that lack mentality creates a huge blockage. And I know that's actually part of the reason why, I haven't grown this channel as quickly as I would have liked to, because that lack mentality has constantly created this invisible block within me that hasn't allowed me to fully believe that what I'm doing is truly not just good, but that it's worthy, like that I am worthy to receive. It's not even accolades, because I'm not looking for that, but just I'm worthy to receive, I guess, validation or acknowledgement that, what I'm doing is good, because I'm here to support others and I'm here to help others heal. through my own healing journey, right? So it's just seeing how everything interplays and everything is so connected, and how important it is for us to heal those broken parts within ourselves so that we can truly become who we are meant to become. And the other thing with this full moon is, again, it's happening at the beginning of this year, because now is still the time to shed. This full moon is completing a cycle that started back in 2022, sorry. So this is kind of wrapping it up and saying, okay, let's get done with this, and let's really refocus, reprioritize, and restructure the way that we are moving forward, especially with Mercury being in retrograde during this period. And Mercury will be in retrograde until January 18th. So this is the time, like, to have a Mercury retrograde and a full moon simultaneously really is the universe asking us to complete cycles. Can you go back over things? Can you reevaluate? All the re's are very much in effect at this time. So can you reevaluate, reprioritize, and refocus your energy onto things that are truly going to help you succeed this year? And by refocusing my energy on healing my inner child, on really taking time to perhaps seek out a spiritual therapist that can help me to heal and to grow, and to help me really like overcome this stuff. Because sometimes I feel, as a healer myself, I certainly have done a tremendous amount of healing work on myself. I take salt baths. I'm really upping my self-care game. Like, there's a lot of different things that I do for myself, but there are certain parts that I feel are almost a little bit not locked, but just I maybe I don't necessarily see it clearly, or I don't necessarily have like the full perspective or a different perspective on it. So I think it would be very helpful for the healer to also see a healer. I say it all the time, we need healing too, and sometimes we need assistance in that, because I may not be able to see what exactly is in the way, where somebody else will just intuitively kind of pick it up, just the way I intuitively pick it up off other people, where they can't see the forest from the tree, and yet I can spot it within like 2 seconds of interacting with somebody. So this is definitely going to be a time and a year for me specifically where I'm focusing on healing that inner child big time, in a huge way, so that she can really stop feeling sad, stop feeling unworthy, and excuse me, my throat chakra is see, it just goes to show how my energy responds immediately to what I'm saying. It's like, this is the time. This is the time for me to focus on these things. And it's not just me, it's all of us. Like I said, this is the collective that I've been feeling. We're all in the same boat. We all have something to heal. We all have people that have hurt us. And I think many of us have had experiences in our childhood that have been difficult. And my gosh, and that have been, suppressed, that have been swept under the rug and pushed down within us because we really didn't know how to heal it and how to face it. And I just recently read something about procrastination, and how procrastination is actually a compensatory action that we do to self-soothe from the things that are buried deep within us subconsciously. So I thought that was really interesting and really, really cool. Because it's true, we really do use procrastination, don't we? Especially when it comes to specific goals that we want to have for ourselves, especially when we want to have, when we want to take action on something that we know is truly good for us. We tend to procrastinate on those things. And why do we do that? Well, because we're self-soothing. We're actually afraid of taking action because we don't, feel that maybe we won't be validated, or we feel that we might say something wrong or do something wrong. And so oftentimes it is the fear that causes that procrastination. It's fear of taking action, because what if, somebody says that that's not good enough? What if, and then it's actually the fear of reliving the experience that we actually had as a child when we were not validated, excuse me, that is actually what comes up. And that's what creates that procrastination. And as I'm understanding this, I'm really feeling the need to share it with others and to help others to see more clearly why they do the things that they do and what subconscious um, seeds and mindsets really drive our daily actions. So that's really my full moon message for today. And being at the beginning of the year, we tend to set New Year's resolutions and things like that. I did that at the new moon, actually, before the new year. I believe it was December 23rd. So that's when I actually kind of did my list of different things that I wanted to do differently in 2023. So Mercury being retrograde right now, it is definitely a really, really good time to still go over and figure out, how do I want to live this year? And what is it that I really need to look at deep within myself, that I need to heal, that I need to eliminate and purge out, so that I can truly have a much better experience this year, so that I don't carry those same baggages of emotional baggages and different things, so that I don't carry that same pain and that same energy into this new year, and that I don't repeat those same patterns of procrastination and hesitation when it comes to my goals and when it comes to really achieving what I want to achieve in this life, right? So think about that, and maybe formulate a list for yourself of the things that you would like to truly do differently for yourself, and make self-care a huge, huge top priority. And one last thing I want to quickly mention is that the astrology for this year that I've looked at is definitely going to be one where it is going to trigger our physical bodies. So in this year, in 23, we are going to have collectively an experience of our physical bodies breaking down, because through the physical body this year, it will be very, very clearly shown where we have imbalance in our lives. Now, this could be imbalances in relationships. This could be imbalances with health and our lifestyle. This could be imbalances with our work, with our finances, our fears around money, fears around security, stability, all of that stuff. All of these things are going to show up in our physical bodies through illness. So if you have any kind of symptoms, if you have any weird things all of a sudden showing up in your body that you never had before, that you didn't experience before, then just know that it's coming up right now. And those physical things are actually very, very deeply rooted and connected to your underlying fears and to your underlying emotions that you haven't processed and that you haven't looked at. And those emotions, of course, are going to be very, very much imbalanced. So, not balanced, let me say it that way. So it's the lack of balance that is going to physically show up for us. So like I said, if you are feeling ill, then you're going to need to look at lifestyle. You're going to need to look at diet. And I already got like a rude awakening at the last week of December with this. So my body tends to kind of react as soon as the energy kind of starts to show up. Even if we're not fully there energetically, my body's already responding to it. So the last week of December was really difficult. Like, I had all kinds of weird stuff going on with my body, different symptoms and pain and all kinds of stuff that I didn't expect, and kind of had no idea where it came from, because it just seemed to show up out of the blue. That's even more likely. So things may show up out of the blue all of a sudden, and you have perhaps potentially even a diagnosis if you go to the doctor. Just know that those things are all emotional baggage that is under the surface. So make the connection within yourself, because whatever part of your body has disease or has illness or has symptoms, that is the area of life energetically that you're having an imbalance in, and that's why it's showing up for you, so that you can fix it, so that you can create balance and harmony within that area of your life. So if it's heart issues, then it's like relationships and that kind of thing. If it's constant headaches and migraines perhaps out of the blue, or just more than usual, then those things are going to be connected to overthinking and how you use your mind, and what your thoughts are about yourself and about everything, literally the world, right? your legs, your feet, anything from waist down, everything and anything from hip down, those represent, that part of the body represents moving forward in life. So, if you have any issues with legs, ankles, knees, anything like that, that all connects to, where do you feel stuck in your life? Where do you feel like you're not able to move forward? Is that work? Is that money? Is that relationships? Is that health? Is that a better diet? Like whatever it is. So consider these things and just pay attention to how your body is, what your body is showing you, what kind of symptoms are showing up, and and do a bit of research, because Louise Hay, for example, has an amazing book about the connection between the physical body and our emotions. So that was just another thing I wanted to add in, because I've already had several clients reaching out to me and going like, what is happening? Because they're having symptoms and different illnesses show up completely unexpectedly. So that is my full moon message for today, for January the 6th. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, for being here with me. And thank you for supporting my channel. Do hit a like on your way out if you found this information helpful, and subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps me to grow. And if you click the little notification bell, then it will also let you know when I'm posting next. And this year is the year that I will be posting more consistently, as I work through my inner child, and as I work through the healing of her and of her feelings of worthiness. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Peace.